JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Little update on a number of things related to the EIDL. The SBA has indicated that they're emailing those that got the EIDL previously to see if they qualify or if they want to apply for the new maximum of $500,000. Those emails are going out. I am hearing very specifically that the emails are going out with instructions on how to reapply. So be looking for those emails. Also, the SBA seems to still be emailing related to the targeted EIDL grant. I've got two videos. If you just go to my video selection, you'll see more details on that. Those that are wanting to apply for PPP, note that it has been, and I'm sure you heard, but it's been extended to May 31st, which is huge. Here's the big thing I hope you're hearing, which is that if you got first draw for the first time in 2021, meaning you didn't get PPP last year, then you want to pay attention to when you got that loan, which is pretty much going to be your disbursement date, as in when you got the money, plus 8 weeks. That is when then you are able to apply for draw 2. So a lot more opportunity for that. For the self-employed, lots of questions related to, well, is it 8 weeks? Should I select 11 weeks? Well, here's the thing to note. You got two issues here. One, when can you apply for second draw? It's 8 weeks after you got the first draw. The other issue is to qualify for the second draw, excuse me, to qualify for the second draw, you had to have used or going to use your first draw. So there seems to be some concern of, well, how do I know I've used it, etc. For the self-employed, the other thing to note is that for your forgiveness amount, it's just a calculation. You can't pay yourself. You don't have payroll to yourself. It's not possible for the Schedule C filer. Anybody that's telling you different, all you got to do is go to sba.gov/PPP and go to the instructions for the PPP forgiveness application. Go to the 3508S. Go and look in the instructions. You're going to see a very specific area in the instructions, in the how-to, later in the application, directly in the application, that indicates for the self-employed, you simply use a calculation. The calculation is based on however you got the loan. If it's based on the net, well, then it's that amount divided by 12 times 2.5 of what you filed with the IRS. If you're now getting it based on the gross, well, then it's your gross divided by 12 times 2.5. So, of course, you know that there's not more than 100,000 that can qualify. If you have other questions, you just need to go to your bank. The SBA is not going to let you get a second draw if you don't qualify. So you can look left and right and ask questions and be concerned and say, well, I don't want to do anything wrong. The SBA is not going to let you do anything wrong. That's what you just really need to be confident in. And when you're dealing with your bank, if they have a concern or a question, they're going to ask you about it. Now, I have heard that people are applying for second draw and they haven't even had an 8-week period between the two, and the SBA is filling it. So go figure. Also, I know that I've not seen anything official related to those that got first draw last year in 2020, meaning they got PPP in the first go around last year for Schedule C filers, that they now get to go and reapply under the new rules, which hopefully you've heard. The new opportunity going back to early March is that for Schedule C filers, they now can base their PPP on their gross income, line 7 of Schedule C. And it has been indicated by the SBA that it's not a retroactive calculation. My interpretation of that has been, well, it's not retroactive as in automatically going to give you the higher amount. You would need to reapply. We know Schedule F filers and the new law that came into play December 27th of 2020, that they can reapply. There's very specific instructions to that they can reapply. So I am aware of one person that is a fan of and part of the JJ the CPA YouTube family and a friend So every direction that applied and got the money under a reapplication with the new formula. So it will just, I guess, be up to your bank. The SBA is not going to let you do something incorrect on that. So it really wouldn't matter if you talk to your CPA or your EA, your tax professional or your lawyer. All that matters is you're interacting with your bank, seeing what it is that they're allowing you to do, and then follow their direction. They're going to then take it to the SBA. The SBA has been very stringent on ensuring that those that are getting any PPP here in 2020, that they qualify, that it's a bona fide business. They're increased and have increased their standards, if you will, in ensuring that things are done properly. So at the end of the day, for the self-employed, get with your bank as it relates to any of these aspects of PPP, whether it's reapplying for PPP first draw, or you're now applying for second draw, given that you got first draw this year. Make sure you're not taxing anything related to PPP when you're doing your 2020 tax return, because it has no effect. Same thing with the EIDL grant. None of that has a tax effect, whether you're Schedule C, Schedule F, an S Corp, C Corp partnership. None of it has any tax effect, whether it's for the owners or the employees, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not taxable income, and it does not reduce down your deductions. The other thing to keep in mind is that for the self-employed, many are missing this. I've done a video on it. Self-employed Don't Miss This Tax Credit is the title of it, that basically you don't want to miss out on Form 7202, which is the tax credit calculation for the self-employed Schedule C filer for those that had last year COVID or symptoms of, or caring for somebody of COVID, or they had to be home with somebody under the age of 18. Bottom line is that there is the sick leave credits. They've been around, came out of the Family First Coronavirus Response Act all the way back in March of 2020. But at the end of the day, check out that form. Check out this credit calculation. It's really self-explanatory, in my opinion. When you just go to Form 7202, look at the instructions related to that, but don't miss the credit. A tax credit is a reduction in your tax dollar for dollar. It's a refundable credit as well. For employers, if you haven't gotten employee retention tax credit, you're missing out. I think probably 90% of employers qualify. It's kind of easy, whether it helps you or not, that if you own multiple businesses and have 50% or more control, that you're able to aggregate a business. So you have a restaurant and a law firm. The restaurant qualifies. Well, so does the law firm if you have 50% or more common ownership. So you have to aggregate a number of things related to that if that's something you're taking advantage of. The IRS came out with IRS Notice 2021-20, and related to that, they've pretty well made it clear that essential businesses, just like the FAQs that were on the IRS website, that essential businesses qualify, especially if they have non-essential aspects of their business. The way the law reads, as it comes out of the CARES Act and then also extended and minorly modified in terms of the effective dates and the new calculations in 2021. But the CARES Act is specific that for the employee retention tax credit, that if the business has an effect due to commerce, travel, or group meetings, that they're going to qualify for ERTC. So I'm not getting cheeky with it at all, but you really want to look at it. So if you're a professional that's advising you and have said, hey, you don't qualify, if they said it's because you're an essential business, go back to them. That's not actually a good enough answer. It couldn't be more inaccurate to just say you're an essential business. The other thing is essential businesses are different around the country, around each state. And just because you service essential business doesn't make you an essential business. Just because you're in an industry that could be essential doesn't make you essential. The IRS also in IRS Notice 2021-20 indicated that there's a threshold of 10% to determine any nominal part of your business having effect on all of the business. So it's a pretty low threshold. What that means is that if more than 10% of your revenue comes from in essence, non-essential type services or sales, if more than 10% of your revenue comes from non-essential business, okay, then your whole business qualifies. If you're 100 or less employees, is the threshold in 2020. If you're 500 or less employees in 2021, in those circumstances, then all of your wages are going to qualify under one of two circumstances. During the governmental shutdown, which differs in everywhere from county to city to state, but during the government shutdown, all wages for those employers qualify other than owners, spouses, and related individuals. But if you don't have that requirement met, the other requirement that you can meet is that your gross receipts are down. In 2020, it's gross receipts being down 50% in any quarter in 2020 versus the same quarter in 19. But check it out, in 2021, the reduction is only 20%. So you're still comparing the quarter in 2021 to the quarter in 2019. And if you're down at least 20% and you're that employer size of 500 or less, all of your wages count for the employee retention tax credit for that quarter. And there's a special little provision that you can do also a comparison of first quarter 2021 to fourth quarter 2020 to see if you're down at least 20%. So I want you to think through that. All the wages would qualify. All the wages would qualify for the entire quarter. And in 2021, the tax credit is 70% of those wages, no more than 10,000 of wages per employee counting. So that's up to a $7,000 employee retention tax credit each quarter. So the way we're looking at it in 2021 is if all four of your quarters are down at least 20%, you potentially have per employee for 2021 a $28,000 payroll tax credit per employee. That's per employee. You have 10 employees, that's 280 grand. Being told by a professional, oh, you don't qualify, in an email or a text or a quick phone call, I don't think that's necessarily good enough of an answer. So either look closely. I do have a seminar that you can check out. I'll put a link to the seminar. So any other things that you want some expanded information on here, I've got playlists directly related to ERTC, playlists for the self-employed, playlists for employers, playlists for forgiveness of PPP, playlists for PPP forgiveness for self-employed. So if you go to basically the homepage of my YouTube channel, you'll find the playlist. Also, you can go and you'll see the videos, and you can go through and if you just go with the newest, if you just categorize them by the newest, really here, the last 20 videos or so, if you just click through them, you'll find more details on everything that I just have visited with you about. So tax season is in full swing for me. Sorry I haven't had many videos out, if any, really in the last 10 days. Hasn't been purposeful. Coop's had a game almost every single day, doing well. And got back here, I got my kitchen and my living room painted, which is just another reason why I have been just too many things going on, and there hasn't been any breaking news. Anytime there's breaking news, I still am getting a video out. So I should be back on track. The games are continuing with Coop almost every day for the next 3 weeks, but I've gotten ahead of the maybe rush of some of the returns that we're getting in. Remember this, and I'm glad you made it to here, but for everyone across America, your first quarter estimated tax payment is due still April 15th of 2021. So that'll be your first quarter estimate for 2021. And then your tax returns for 2020 for individuals are due May 17th. May 17th because of the way the date falls on the calendar. Now, if you live in Oklahoma or Texas or Louisiana, all of your due dates for anything is June 15th. So for first quarter estimate 2021, for your tax return for 2020, any due dates, including payroll, nothing is due until June 15th. So you could come up with, well, what about this and what about this and what about that? If you're in Oklahoma, Louisiana, or Texas, nothing's due until June 15th. So if you have questions about that, then check with your tax advisor. IRS website is very handy. So I'm going to put a link to the ERTC seminar that you can get instant access to, and I've got a number of Excel spreadsheets that you're able to use. It's a seminar that's over 2 hours. There's a part 1 and a part 2, each over 2 hours. Each seminar has a PDF that goes along with it, each over about 140 pages, with some specialty videos talking about aggregation, how to report this, how to track for tax purposes, talking about the family issues, how to research this, how to look at your gross receipts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, if you haven't looked at that, probably a pretty good resource. And then also, I am about this close to getting certified with NASBA to provide continuing professional education to CPAs. So I'm very excited about that. I don't know how long the approval process is, but I'm in the 3rd stage of approval, and basically it's just all kind of formality of having everything that come into play. I'll tell you what, it's been way more of a process than I thought. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to lay out some specific CPE throughout the year. I'm going to do it very regularly, and I'm excited about that. So be sure to be keeping an eye on that. Also, if you made it to here, then you're probably those that are really a part of this family. I appreciate you. Secret, we're having a book launch for Amanda's 2nd book. And right now, we haven't announced anything, but we're targeting Tuesday, April 27th for a book launch. We'll be going live at that time. So appreciate you so much. I really, really do. Miss you. And sorry I don't have the comments on. As a CPA, I feel a responsibility that if I leave comments on, then I'm, feel like I need to answer questions that are on there. So if I know I don't have time to answer the questions, then I don't think it's fair to leave the comments on. That's also kind of proof I'm a CPA providing some good knowledge on here, hopefully, not necessarily a YouTube. So I know I'm at 68,000 subscribers as of today, which I so appreciate, much love. But I don't first and foremost consider myself a YouTuber. I got a full-on CPA tax practice. That's where I make my revenue. And that's all to say, I appreciate you so much, and look forward to getting some more videos out and getting back on track. We do have some other issues that I want to bring to you, so stay tuned. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, have a great one.